The elevator doors slid open to absolute darkness, thick and depthless like ink poured into the hallway. The floor indicator above him glowed a steady red 12. Somewhere inside that blackness, a voice whispered his name. He didn't step out at first. The sensor light above the door flickered, as if unsure whether a hallway existed. The whisper came again, softer this time. Closer. He glanced back at the control panel. The button for 12 wasn't lit anymore. It looked worn, like it had been pressed thousands of times. The doors began to close. Panic jolted through him, and he shoved his hand between them. The doors reopened instantly to the same swallowing void. A cold draft rolled in from the darkness. It smelled faintly metallic, like old pipes and wet concrete. The whisper stopped the moment he leaned forward. He stepped across the threshold. The elevator light behind him became a shrinking rectangle. Then the doors slid shut, sealing him inside the dark. Silence wrapped around him like insulation. He turned, expecting to see at least an outline of walls. There was nothing, not even shadows. His phone flashlight trembled on as he activated it. The beam cut through the black for barely 3 feet. Beyond that, the light dissolved. The floor beneath him was solid concrete. It was damp, slightly uneven. No doors, no numbers, no exit signs. He turned in a slow circle. The elevator was gone. Behind him was only endless corridor stretching both directions. A faint buzzing hummed overhead. He angled the flashlight upward. Rusted conduit pipes lined a ceiling that seemed louder than normal. A single fluorescent tube flickered to life 20 feet ahead. It revealed a narrow hallway painted in peeling grey. The number 12 was stenciled crookedly on the wall. He approached cautiously. The paint looked old, decades old. Beneath it, he could see another number partially scraped away. The hallway extended farther than the building's blueprint allowed. He knew the layout. He'd studied it when he moved in. There was no space for this corridor. A door appeared on the right. No handle, just a smooth metal surface. His name was scratched into it. He stepped back sharply. The scratching looked fresh. The letters were uneven, desperate. A distant clang echoed from somewhere deeper inside the floor. It sounded like another elevator arriving. He realized he wasn't alone here. Footsteps shuffled far behind him. Slow, dragging steps. He swung the flashlight toward the sound. The beam caught movement for a split second. A figure turned the corner at the end of the hall. It moved exactly like him. He ran toward the opposite direction. More fluorescent lights flickered awake as he passed. Each one revealed more identical doors. Every door had a name scratched into it. Different names. Tenant names from his building. He stopped at one he recognized. The elderly woman from 9B. He hadn't seen her in weeks. He pressed his ear to the metal. Soft breathing came from inside. Not labored. Just waiting. A loud thud hit the door from within. He stumbled back as the metal dented outward. Something inside wanted out. The dragging footsteps behind him grew louder. They matched his pace. When he slowed, they slowed. He spun around suddenly. The hallway was empty. The fluorescent lights flickered in unison. His phone buzzed violently in his hand. No caller ID appeared. The screen displayed a live camera feed. It showed him standing in the hallway. The timestamp read tomorrow's date. In the video, the lights went out one by one. He watched himself turn towards something off camera. His recorded self mouthed a word. Then the feed cut to static. The real hallway lights flickered as if on cue. He felt his chest tighten. The air seemed thinner. He reached for the nearest door and shoved it open. Inside was a small apartment identical to his. Every detail matched. The furniture placement was exact. The cracks in the ceiling were the same. Even the coffee mug on the table looked identical. A photo frame sat on the shelf. He picked it up slowly. The picture showed him standing in this hallway, but in the photo, his eyes were completely black, and behind him stood a second version of himself. He dropped the frame. It didn't shatter. It dissolved into dust midair. The dust drifted upward instead of down. A heavy metallic screech echoed from the corridor. The dragging footsteps were right outside now. They stopped at the doorway. He turned toward the entrance. A silhouette filled the frame. It was his exact shape. The figure stepped inside. Its movements were half a second delayed from his own. When he raised his arm, it copied. Its face remained in shadow. The room temperature plummeted. Frost crept along the window edges. "You shouldn't have pressed it," the figure said in his voice. The sound came from everywhere at once. It didn't move its mouth. He backed toward the kitchen. The apartment lights flickered violently. The figure stepped forward in perfect sync. He grabbed a chair and hurled it. The chair passed straight through the figure. It shattered against the wall. The figure tilted its head. "Floor 12 isn't a place," it said calmly. "It's a correction." The walls began to pulse softly. The paint rippled like water. He felt dizzy, unsteady. Images flashed across the walls like projections. Tenants entering the elevator skipping 12. Each clip ended the same way. The doors opening to darkness. The tenant stepping inside. He saw the elderly woman from 9B. He saw the man from 3A. None of them came back. "You forgot something," the figure whispered. "You pressed 12 before." A memory forced its way into his mind. Weeks ago, drunk, curious, the elevator had paused strangely. He remembered the doors twitching. He remembered a cold draft. Then nothing. The room began to shrink. The ceiling lowered inch by inch. The figure moved closer. "You were given a chance to leave," it said. "You stayed in the building." The floor cracked beneath his feet. Through the cracks, he saw endless elevator shafts stretching downward. Cables trembled in the dark. The apartment dissolved around him. He was back in the hallway. All the doors were open now. Inside each apartment stood a silent version of himself. They watched him without blinking. None of them stepped out. The dragging footsteps resumed behind him. Louder, faster. He started running down the corridor. The lights burst behind him as he passed. Darkness swallowed each section instantly. At the end of the hall stood an elevator. Its doors were open. Warm yellow light spilled out. Relief flooded him. He sprinted toward it. The interior looked normal. He jumped inside and slammed the button for lobby. The doors began to close slowly. As they almost shut, a hand caught them. It was his hand. The figure forced its way in. The elevator began descending violently. The floor indicator flickered between numbers. It skipped 11 and glowed 12 again. The figure smiled faintly. "There is no lobby," it said softly. "Only levels." The elevator stopped abruptly. The doors opened to his building's real lobby. Everything looked ordinary. Morning sunlight streamed through the glass doors. People walked outside like nothing was wrong. He stumbled out shakily. He turned back toward the elevator. The indicator above it displayed 13. There was no 12. A neighbor walked past him casually. "You look tired," she said. She didn't recognize the terror in his eyes. He rushed to the management office. He demanded to see the building blueprints. The manager looked confused but complied. The blueprints showed floors 1 through 11, then 13 through 20. No 12 existed. "There's never been a 12th floor," the manager insisted. "You must be mistaken." He checked the tenant directory board. The names from the hallway doors were missing. 9B was listed as vacant. His phone buzzed again. A notification from the building APP appeared. "Elevator maintenance scheduled tonight at 3:12 a.m. He opened the APP logs. It showed his key code accessing floor 12 repeatedly over the past month. Dozens of entries. His stomach dropped. He had no memory of any of them. Each log was timestamped 3:12 a.m. That night, he stayed awake in his apartment. He stared at the clock as it approached 3:12. The building was silent. At exactly 3:12 a.m., his lights flickered. His phone unlocked itself. A notification appeared. Elevator arriving. He hadn't called it, yet he heard it ding outside his door. The sound echoed down the hallway. Slow footsteps approached from the other side of his apartment door, dragging, deliberate. They stopped inches away. A whisper seeped through the wood. It spoke his name gently. The handle began to turn. He backed away in horror. The whisper became clearer. "You left something on floor 12. The door swung open by itself. The hallway beyond was pitch black. The red glow of 12 pulsed in the distance. And somewhere in that darkness, something that looked exactly like him smiled and waited.